Yeah, I'm gonna talk about hedonistic product engineering. Sorry, I think I'm the only one who can hide behind the laptop here. And so, like, my situation is I'm working on product features and we should ship them fast. We should ship them often. So there's a lot of A/B testing going in there. Like, you sometimes do code and then 2 months later you have to delete it again. But you're constantly faced with the pressure of shipping the next one. So who's maybe familiar with that situation as well? Okay, and who's consulting people? They're not familiar with those. All right, so there's a couple of hands rising here. So, like, it feels like climbing a mountain, and then when you're up the hill, it's like, okay, you should have some relief, but actually it's like, oh, now I see all the other mountains that are higher than the one before, and I need to climb them as well. So I think we can make this a little bit more joyful. So think about this. We are in Super Rentals Inc. We have Tom Sir, who's our PM, and we have Zoe, who's our fearsome front-end developer. And now, in a refinement meeting, like, Tom Sir's coming in, hey, I realized we have a core of customers that want to see personalized recommendations about the exposés we have on the website. So we should make that. Like, there's a refinement meeting, so designer's next to it, he's presenting the screens, and who of you would think, okay, and what kind of components I need to create for that screen to do? Like, who's in that mindset of, like, thinking about components first already? All right, so there's a couple of hands going up. So me as well, and I thought, like, maybe you can change it a little. So what I want to do is, like, to make you sensible of expanding your comfort zone to something else. And the idea here is coming from DDD and OOUX, is to, like, understand the domain at first, the business domain at first. So a nice approach here would be to, like, underline the objects we have at first and then the actions that we want to perform in the business. So we have an expose as our object, and then we want to request an offer for that, or we want to learn more about that. So that's what we did as well. So we call it an inventory of what we want to have here. We have the objects and then the actions. And, like, a naive approach would be to, like, make a recommendation component and then make an action, request an offer. The data service here is, like, some connection to our API, and we send or dispatch a request here. So that might be, like, the usual go-to solution. And then it's like, this is what Zoe did as well. And then she's like, now I might have tightly coupled my business logic to the actual visual representation. So maybe I should disconnect it to have, like, one unit that is responsible for that action, and I can unit test it as well. So next step is, okay, I extract that into a function, but a function needs to have all the dependencies as the parameters. So you need to pass your data layer or the parameters or whatever service you might want to use in there. That's not really feeling what we want to do in Ember, because we have our DI container, and we want to leverage it and use that. So this is where commands are coming to the rescue. That's an add-on I recently wrote. So you write a command. It's basically a function, but wrapped in a class, so you have access to the DI container of Ember, where you can have all the services you want to have, or, like, whatever you want to use and consume in from the DI layer. And then the execute function is just what we have before. Just move to a single thing, a single unit, where you can have the test for it and everything's fine. And then in the component, we only connect the visuals with the business logic. So this is what this and command request offer, and then we have the command for with a request offer action that we wrote before. And that's all we need to do. So we have that nicely separated here. And then, like, Tom's just coming, hey, Zoe, well, you know, the DNA team, our data analytics, they want to know what's going on. So could you please add tracking so we know what's going on? It's like, Zoe's like, sure, easy. Like, just a half story points here. Because there was also a recommendation tracking action written before. So you can compose those actions together and make one single executable, kind of. What happens when you connect that command to your UI. So, and you can have, like, this composability is really cool, as you might only need actions or commands that are one-liners. like that's fine because then you connect them and compose them as your business is looking for. And so the next one is attaching commands to the UI, where we also should not compromise on accessibility here at all. And also ember-command is loving ember-link, an add-on that is made by Jan, who was just on the stage before. And actually, if you look into the accessibility map, they name a command role. And the fun thing is, there has some subclasses, a button, a link, and a menu item. And that's actually where you want to connect your commands to. So it's not something I made up, but it's coming like also from other channels. And the ember-command ships with a command element building block that takes as a command just the command you push in. So this is an example button component. It takes a push, and then the push is passing it through the command element. And the command element is then able to understand what kind of element it needs to render. So here are some examples. So we push in the request of a command as we had before, and it renders as a button. Because it's loving ember-link, we can pass in a link as well. And because it's a link, we render it as an A tag. But also, like, you can compose them together. So there's a link command primitive, which is just a bridge to ember-link. So you can describe your request of a command as a link and also attach the tracking to it, which then you push into like the button, which renders as an A tag because it's a link, and also it performs a tracking action on top of it. That's actually already it. So think about using commands for writing your business logic, so you can have that separate from your UI. You're also given an ember command to make your commands accessible right out of the box. No compromise here. Then use the universal design system approach to style your component, because it doesn't matter what kind of element it is, because we want to have that style. Of course, you need to use your storybook to show that to your colleagues. And then, because commands are fire and forget, so I'm just like have roughly spoken to Mike and Clemens, because I want to make it compatible with Ember state charts, because this is like your response channel from the command to make something reactive in the UI. And they are primitive, so as links, you can pass them around. So you might have your template components, then your molecules, then your elements, and then the atomic ones. So you have only one thing that you need to pass down from the highest to the lowest level, without like many things that you perhaps need to compose instead. And that's it.